The room went silent so fast, I could hear the lake wind scraping against the windows. My father stood at the head of the table, champagne glass raised, smiling like he'd just crowned a king. "The Lake Tahoe estate," he said, eyes sliding past me as if I were furniture, "will go entirely to my grandson." My son. My knees went weak. My sister gasped. And my father looked relieved, like he'd finally found a way to erase me without saying my name. Everyone stared at my son, barely 12, frozen in his seat. He looked at me, confused, searching for permission to react. I felt my pulse slam against my ribs. That house wasn't just a vacation property. It was my childhood. My mother's ashes were scattered off that dock. I had paid the taxes for years when my father forgot. And now, in one sentence, I was written out. Applause followed. Awkward. Forced. My father set the glass down and launched into a speech about legacy, about bloodline skipping generations. He said my son represented a clean future. Clean, as if I were a stain. I smiled, slowly, because losing your temper is what people expect. Silence is what scares them. That night, after everyone left, my son asked if this meant he owned the house now. I told him no, not yet, and that whatever happened next, he had to trust me. He nodded, braver than any adult in that room. What my father didn't know was that 2 years earlier, when his health began to wobble and his memory slipped, he'd signed a quiet power of attorney. Mine. He didn't read the fine print. He trusted me because he thought I was harmless, because he thought I was desperate for approval. I gave him exactly what he thought he saw. Over the next week, I let the announcement spread. Relatives called to congratulate my son. Old friends posted photos of the Tahoe house with captions about keeping it in the family. I said nothing. Then I started making calls. The estate wasn't as clean as my father claimed. Unpaid contractors. A dock built without updated permits. A renovation that crossed protected land by 6 feet. Things I had warned him about years ago. Things he ignored because I was the one saying them, using the authority he gave me. I requested audits, reviews, reassessments, all perfectly legal, all perfectly quiet. Then I did the one thing he never expected. I transferred the tax burden. Turns out, gifting an estate to a minor comes with complications, especially when the property isn't compliant, especially when the guardian is legally responsible, especially when that guardian is me. The first notice arrived 3 weeks later. My father called, furious, shouting about mistakes and sabotage. I listened. I apologized. I told him I'd look into it. He didn't hear the smile in my voice. The second notice froze his accounts tied to property. The third flagged the estate for temporary closure, pending environmental review. Tahoe doesn't play around. By the time the lawyers got involved, the truth was unavoidable. The house was a financial sinkhole, and the only way to protect my son was to move it into a trust one controlled or sell. At the emergency family meeting, my father looked smaller. His voice cracked as he asked how this happened. I told him the truth. That legacy isn't about skipping people. It's about responsibility. That he gave my son a crown made of debt and expected applause. The vote was unanimous. Sell the estate. When the papers were signed, I placed a trust in my son's name. Not the house. The proceeds. Enough to fund his education, his future, his freedom. Clean. Secure. Untouchable. My father didn't speak to me for months. When he finally did, it was quiet, almost respectful. He asked if I had planned it all along. I told him no. I told him he planned at the moment he decided I didn't matter. And this time, I didn't disappear.